So if you guys take a look here, this is the accessory drive belt routing diagram. So from factory, it starts at our crank pulley, goes up over our power steering, then it hits our alternator, goes over the smog pump, which we now have deleted, so no more smog pump, goes underneath our water pump, and then up over our AC compressor where it hits the tensioner. So we no longer have the AC compressor, we no longer have our smog pump. I have the old belt down here, so we can use this to kind of mock up and see how long of a belt we actually need, and yeah, we'll hopefully figure it out from there. So let's get our tensioner back on, and then let's get this idle pulley mounted, and yeah, we'll see what we get from there. Start underneath our crank pulley, and we go over the power steering pump, around the alternator, up over our idler, under the water pump, and then this is where, yeah, and then this way. So we're gonna go over the tensioner like this, and that should be about how we route it. Yeah, that's perfect. So our tensioner does go down, so the only thing we're gonna have to do is come up over the top of the tensioner. And then once we let go, it'll pull up this way and put tension on the whole belt system. So let me grab these, and we'll actually just kind of make a little cut mark. There we go. Make a little mark. Yep, right there. So we'll cut right along that line. There we go. I'm going to route it around one more time just to make sure they meet up pretty close. Yeah, it looks like we should meet up right about there. So actually, that should be a pretty good idea of the size belt that we need.
A few minutes later.
Alright guys, so this right here, they didn't have a 73-inch belt, but they had a 73.5-inch belt. I don't know if that's going to work for me, but we're going to try it out. So, go around. Actually guys, I think this is going to work. There we go. I got a fail-safe thermostat here, so if this thermostat goes bad, it will actually stay stuck open so that we will have free-flowing coolant through the engine. So if it does go bad, we're not going to overheat. That's the whole idea of it. So this thermostat that I bought is a 160-degree thermostat, so it'll actually run a little bit cooler on the car. Where my ratchet go? So we have our thermostat in there with our water neck. We're also going to need our coolant hose to go from that far corner of the radiator across, around, hopefully our AC compressor bracket, kind of routed around here up to our water neck. We'll see. I'm gonna kind of look around and we'll see what we can come up with. So now these two need to connect somewhere, which we bring them up here. Should be able to make them connect right in the middle here, and they might honestly hold themselves away from the belt. There's one, and there's two, like that. Yeah guys, looks like it's gonna keep itself away from our belt. I'll probably zip tie it to something just to make sure that it's away from our belt drive. I'll take this bung and put some Teflon tape on there. There we go, so we can reinstall this guy. Now we're gonna need to run a coolant line from here up to it, like that. Alright guys, let's try this out. Get some ventilation in here. Volts. Well guys, we did get a lot done today. We need to dial in our carburetor and our ignition timing with the timing light and vacuum gauge. But in order for me to do that, I need to make sure that the engine's maintaining a certain temperature. So We can't have it fluctuating like crazy or heating up on us, because that will actually change our ignition timing, change our vacuum. It'll affect everything with the engine if it's not running at a consistent temperature. I'm gonna call it a night. Next clip you guys see, we'll be working on getting the radiator fan wired up, getting a new one in there so that it'll actually work off of a switch inside the car. And once we do that, we should be able to start the car, run it, burp the cooling system, and make sure that it'll run a consistent temperature for us. At that point, the last thing we'll have to do is adjust our timing and our carburetor. Then this car will be ready to rip.
The next day.
Alright, so now we're going to get into a little bit of wiring. So I am no professional, and I don't claim to be one, but I know just enough to get myself into trouble. So hopefully it's entertaining for you guys. So the way we're going to do this, we have a 3-wire switch here that we're going to run our ground to our number 1 prong, our power off our 12-volt battery to our second, and then third prong is going to be power out. From there, our fan should be able to ground really anywhere up here. Just have to pick a bolt to ground it to. We're gonna pop in a little 15 amp fuse, and we'll probably just have our switch sit kind of up here to the left side of the dash, just so that we can get to it kind of easy. We don't really need it too pretty, we just need it functional. This one will be going into the top of our switch, which will be the hot wire to the fan. And then we're going to run our ground wire probably up here to this ground, it looks like. And we will crimp, tug test, and heat shrink. Don't need much wire. We're just going to run this way to this chassis ground. Now we can put this connector on here that will go around the bolt. Crimp it, tug test, and heat shrink. And tug test, that's tight. These wires are out of the way, which is good. We can zip tie them together, get some tension on them, make them look pretty. And lastly, we need to run our ground from our switch. And in theory, should be able to hook up the battery. Shouldn't have any burning or sizzling going on. Should be able to flip the switch and the fan will turn on. Slide that on the bottom of our switch. Alright, so far so good. And let's flip our switch and our fan should come on. Yep. Man, dude, that thing blows too. Hell yeah, man. Okay, so now we're going to hook our battery up, hook our timing light up, hook our vacuum gauge up, make sure that our radiator fan turns on. First, setting our base timing, we have our vacuum advance disconnected. So we're going to set our base timing, check that with the timing light, tighten our distributor down. Then once the timing's set, we're going to take our flathead screwdriver and we're going to adjust our 2 idle mixture screws until we see the highest amount of vacuum that we can pull. And then from there, that should be a pretty good baseline for where we need to be. We're going to have to let the car get to operating temperature first before we do that. First, we will make sure our fan works. Yep. And we'll try to give her a start here. There we go. guys saw, I made a couple adjustments to the idle mixture screws, and we were pulling about 23 inches of mercury, which is pretty healthy. And as you guys heard, once I hooked up the vacuum advanced distributor, this thing's pretty responsive. I mean, it shakes the whole car when you step on it, which before, I'll play a clip now so you guys can hear it revving before. It was real sluggish while it was running super rich on the old 2-port injection setup. So now this car is running a lot healthier. So we are back from the store, and this is fresh distilled water that we're going to be flushing out our cooling system with. And then right here I bought some Redline water wetter that we're going to be adding as well. Still working. The car sat for a long time. I mean, you guys saw how dirty our reservoir got pretty quick. This car has sat most of its life. So, and the radiator and coolant hasn't been changed in it in years and years and years. So it's an old car that's been neglected for a while. We're making a lot of progress, so that's exciting. If you guys are enjoying, please leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support on the channel, and my goal is to get this car to the track as soon as possible. Alright, so we're back from our summit trip, and we picked up a couple new gaskets, new radiator cap, and right here is the new Summit Racing aluminum water pump, and I guess it actually came with gaskets, so we didn't need to get the gaskets, but it's all good. We're gonna have to swap the pulley onto this one, and that means that we have to drain all the water out of the car again, pick up some more distilled water, which is fine because it was looking pretty rusty and nasty. It's been a long time since this car's had a radiator flush, so we'll go ahead and do that. Pop this guy on. There's our 3-core aluminum radiator upgrade. Yeah guys, we got a lot of leaves in here. Oh yeah, and this is all, yep, probably a good idea. mount this radiator fan in there a little bit better than we did before. So that bottom transmission line is rusted solid into the radiator, so we're just gonna hack it off real quick. And we're gonna put a couple new lines on when we get the new transmission installed. Alright. That's one way to do it. Yeah, this thing's definitely seen better days. Get rid of that guy. And all of these leaves we'll vacuum out of here, clean up real nice before we drop in the new radiator. And then we'll also not have the AC condenser in front of it, so we should see a lot more airflow. So we're gonna set this guy down in here, cut these off. So I'm only putting in these front bolts because the fan is a little bit bigger. I'm going to temporarily loop my transmission line. Fill this up a good bit so that it's the highest point of our cooling system. There we go. We're getting a lot of bubbles, so that's good. Sweet, guys. Well, looks like we got all the air out of the system, so I'm gonna let it cool off for a little bit. I'm gonna empty our reservoir and put the cap on, and we should be in pretty good shape. There we go. Let's hop in, hopefully one last time, and we'll see what she wants to idle at. Turn the heat off now. Alright, moment of truth. Well guys, I've been sitting here and the car's been idling for about 20 minutes now. And we're at 205, 206 on the coolant temp. And that's just idling in the garage here with not a crazy amount of airflow just off our fan. So I'd say that's a pretty huge success, because beforehand it was heating up on me in the staging lanes just sitting there. I turn it on. By the time I get to the front of the line in the staging lanes, I was already up over 230 degrees. So this is a lot better. I think we have a pretty solid fix for our cooling system. Well, I think it's finally safe to say that I got the cooling system in way better shape than it was before, so we shouldn't have overheating issues anymore. A couple things I have to tackle next. Transmission. I'm installing the TH350 into this, and I will be installing the new valve seals also to stop the smoking and stop our oil contamination. So yeah, then this thing should be ready to rip. I should be able to take it to the track and go out just about every single week, try to race on the street car nights to get started, and you know, then hopefully hop into a race car pretty soon after that. So I appreciate all of your guys' support on the videos and tuning into the channel. I'm really excited to get out to the racetrack and actually start doing some racing. I've been waiting for a while to do it now, and we're finally gonna make it happen. So thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been Dan. I'll see you guys next time. This car freaking hates me, dude. Yeah, so it looks like the oil pressure switch started spewing out oil. And now we have a giant mess under here. So yeah, that's something else I gotta fix now. I'd much rather have things like this happen while I'm in the garage rather than on the road or going down the track. So that's something I gotta address now. Gonna have to put a new oil pressure switch, it looks like, in there. It's squirting out of the connector, so that's how I know it's the switch, I'm pretty sure, instead of it being the sending unit. So oh yeah, before I go, I forgot to mention I did buy a new air filter. So we're gonna clean this guy up a little bit, but probably gonna paint it or clean this up or something and put Bueller Racing on it. Maybe paint match it to the valve covers somehow. Cherry on top. There we go, guys. Carburetor swap complete. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe. See you guys next time.